What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today, we're going to go back to a prison story. I know a lot of people are like, we're going to miss your prison stories. I can't tell prison stories every day. It's, after 7 years, it's getting closer to the stuff that I don't want to talk about and won't talk about. Right. So that's why the channel is evolving. And I appreciate you guys. And I thank you guys for sticking around through the growing pains. I get it. Right. But today we're going to talk about something that it wouldn't happen now, with everybody having been released from the shoe. But it's something that used to happen. It may be a ugly little secret, dark secret, whatever we want to call it, right? But it's a reality. It's something that did happen. And it is why some guys that did all their time on a level 4 look at the lower levels the way they do, especially the 2s and 1s. But it has happened on level 3s. So let's get into it. There are dudes who were really in the game and really doing things and had all the right ink on them because they really were that. And they defected from whatever organization. But we're going to keep this to the Southerners, right? And they would work for the Juras, right? And they would go to a level 2, level 3, not really a 1 though, but a level 3 or level 2. Sometimes it would be done in ad seg. Rarely, but it did happen. They were sent out to the yard. This is before there was S and Ys and all that, okay? And they would go out there and take control of the yard. Again, they had all the right markings on them. They did have a name. And these dudes would go and they would bully dudes. And, they're dealing for the most part with dudes that haven't been around, aren't seasoned. And again, they would put themselves in leadership positions, find out everything going on, find out who was a threat to them, have them hit. Like dudes that they knew, like that vato will figure it out. They'd have them downed, whacked. And it would create a big old thing. And the dudes would usually get found out. Sooner or later, it always happens to them, right? But I want to tell you a story. So I've talked about how when they were flipping to Hatshepsut, when they were turning it over from the only 50-50 yard in the state to GP, we were on the first bus. I was on the very first bus from Pelican Bay Shoe to that place in 1997, very first bus. And it was very ugly. Every week, another bus would come from another 180 yard. So the first one was Pelican Bay. I think the second one was High Desert. Then it was New Folsom, then Salinas Valley. And it would just rotate like that every week until they filled the yard, until they completely flipped it. Meanwhile, there was a lot of shit happening on the yard. Dudes were getting whacked. Dudes were moving on these dudes that were no good, right? Well, prior to us getting there, our bus, we heard about there was somebody there. And he used to be somebody. Like, he really was a somebody at one point. And he had flipped. But because of the knowledge that he had, the game that he had convinced a bunch of people that he was actually just a sleeper, that he was still in good standings. And I'm not going to say which county it was, But he had surrounded himself by all the dudes from one county. He wasn't even from that county. But he had convinced them that they were his pistoleros. Whatever he had told them, they bought it. Hook, line, and sinker, they bought it. He was going to be, but they were all youngsters. But he was going to be their golden ticket. They were going to get somewhere. They were the bodyguard for this guy, right? And again, this is before they started sending buses every week. Tehachapi always had dudes getting out of the shoe, getting sent there. It was a 180 yard. My older homeboy went there and committed a murder right in the middle of the yard in front of everybody, right? There were other dudes that got killed there. There was other, like, it was a savage spot. So some people came and they were active. They were with it. And as dudes do, they're going to look for a target that's worth something. You don't just go after a weenie. There's no points in that. That's a waste of time. It's actually was frowned upon. It was like, damn, there was nobody else there? Like, that's what you went for? That's pretty easy, no? So these dudes began plotting. I want to say there was 4 of them. They were in Adseg when I got there. And they formulated their plan. They had been there like a month or so getting everything ready. And when the day came, and they made their move, that guy's pistoleros, all the dudes from that one county, all them youngsters from that one county, I believe that he had 6 of them. They intervened. They assisted this guy. Came back to Adseg and had to take a whole bunch of medicine for that on the yard. Some of them realized their error and didn't come out, or went to the reintegrated mixed yard, didn't go to the yard with the Southerners. Because back then, and this is no disrespect to anybody, but there were only 2 yard groups at the time. Later, they added another person, another faction, another group. But at that time, there was only 2 yard groups. The Southern yard, the CC yard, control compatible, and the reintegrated mixed yard, which was all the dudes that were no good. The Northerners didn't have their own yard. The whites didn't have their own yard. It was only the Southerners had a control compatible yard, and then the rest all went to yard together. Later, they rounded up some skins, and then they added them to the CC yard. So it was whites and Southerners. But everyone else, if they went to Adseg, went to yard with the same dudes because they had programmed with them on the main line, on 4A. So anyways, out of the 6 dudes that made the error to back up, to intervene on that individual's behalf, I believe it was only 2 of them that went out to yard and took their medicine, and they were able to fix it. And they were only able to fix it because vatos were kind to them and understood these are kids that didn't know any better, should have known better, but they got smashed, and then they had to put in work. Whatever happened to them after that, I don't know. But this is one of the old ugly realities of prison. Dudes would land somewhere, and I will say this, I never saw them try that stuff on any other 180 yard or 270 yard. Never on a level 4. Always a level 3 or a level 2. And that's why, like, you hear some dudes say, that vato's a level 3 killer. It's a level 2 killer. Back then, if you were on a level 2, and remember, there was no SNY back then. Back then, if you were on a level 2, people knew that's a trash yard. Like, you can go there and do your time and go home, cool. But don't try to, like, if YouTube was in effect then the way it is now, and somebody was to come out and talk about their level 2, Vatos would be like, what the fuck is this Vato talking about? Level 2? You know who was probably there with you? You know what I mean? But I wanted to give you guys another little glimpse into how things were, how treacherous things have always been. I always try to do that with these videos, eh? You know, if you didn't have the right people around you, if you didn't have enough common sense, you could wind up in some serious shit. Just like those 6 did. And only 2 of them, I was going to say 4, only 2 of them wanted to make it right. The other 4, they transferred out with that guy they backed up. Turned out he was their golden ticket. Their golden ticket to nowhere. That's my video for today, man. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out of here.